You got to be He-Man if you're not going to be using stuff like that. And these things are epic. I love them. Woo! Look at that. That's a thing of beauty. Oh, we're lucky. Best decision I ever made. Hey guys, Jake with Men and Equipment here. Today we're going to be working on this Hitachi 75. We did the Rotex on it, and when we had the machine split apart, we noticed the swing transmission pinion gear was pretty worn out, so we're going to go yoink that swing transmission out of it and rebuild it in the shop there. If you want to come join us for the ride.
Hi, I'm Keith Menon from Menon Equipment Services. I've partnered up with Fortis HD, and if you want to use my promo code, it's MENNEN10, M-E-N-N-E-N 10. For 10% off, it supports the channel and mechanics like me. Thanks for using the promo code, and thanks for the support.
Well, first things first, we got to get this cover off. Nothing too crazy, you know. So yeah, right down there in our tiny little hole, we got our swing transmission. I did have the motor half of it pulled off of it when we did the Rotex. Probably gonna start by just pulling off all the lines, pulling the plug out the bottom of the swing, getting it draining, and go from there. I don't think it'll take too long, so long as those bolts at the bottom aren't too tight. If any of you don't know, usually your swing transmission drains on the bottom here. There's a couple holes, just fit your fingers up inside, and yeah, it's right there. So I think it's an 8mm Allen. We'll pop that out and get her draining.
So how long have you been renting for?
I'm 23 now, so yeah, when I was 19, I got into the trade. Started out in an automotive shop, actually. Funny enough, my landlord, the place I live at now, he's good buddies with my boss, Keith, there. I was just hanging out at my house. Keith was over. I was wearing my Snap-on vest at the time. And he comes up to me, he's like, hey, you wrench? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, you want a job? I'm like, well, I have one, but you know, always looking for something new. And then literally, yeah, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks later, I started working for Keith. Best decision I ever made. I've always been an outdoorsy guy. You know, working outside is just something I like, and not everybody's cut out for the field work, but I seem to enjoy it. And if you do, it's the best, because you're at somewhere new every single day. And I don't know, I just enjoy it. It's just a good time. Oh, she's full of water. That's good. Who knows, maybe we'll be doing more than just the pinion on this swing. Now we'll let that drain. So yeah, I came in originally just for the Rotex bearing. It was chewed up. It was full, chock full of water, very little grease in here. The teeth, like if you look down here, these ones are actually chipped. If you can see how bad this is, you can only imagine how bad that pinion on the swing is. So that's why we're doing the job we're doing today. Look at that. It's like I've taken this apart before. The way we do it here at Menon is all of our caps and plugs, we stamp them so we know what the heck goes where. If you see, there's an E on that side and there's an E on that side. So just your standard steel stamps, we just stamp all our plugs before we put them on the trucks. Yeah, it just makes it easier when you go to put everything back together. You're not playing guessing games of which hose goes where. You just sort of look at the numbers, look at the letters, and Bob's your uncle, there you go. Now you'll find me second guessing myself on caps and plugs a lot. I've only been doing this for like the heavy duty side for what, 2 years now? My brain doesn't quite instantly know them yet.
So what was the biggest thing when switching over to heavy duty from auto?
Switching over to a truck was a big change as far as how your day goes, because, well, you're driving around, you're going to job sites. When you're in a shop, you're not dealing with the customers, right? Whereas we deal with the customers face-to-face, hand-on almost every single day. And not to say I don't like talking to people, but it's definitely different than just, you know, you're doing your thing in the back of a shop. So I'd say that was probably the biggest thing, just getting used to having to talk to the customers and all that sort of thing. But now that I'm used to it, it's one of my favorite parts of the jobs.
So when you worked in auto, did you have a lot of tools that you kind of just transitioned over?
Yes, when I was in automotive, I just bought tools. I didn't know if I needed it or not. I just thought it was cool, and I would just buy tools.
Addiction.
Yeah, it is an addiction. Don't get it wrong. Your parents may warn you about drugs. Facebook Marketplace is just as dangerous. So a lot of the tools I had from automotive did definitely transfer and transition over to heavy duty. I'm thankful actually, because my great uncle was a cat technician his whole career and just retired recently. So I got a full set of cat gauges from him, full set of 3/4 sockets and all that. I probably should have got one of these when I was in automotive, but air hammer, my favorite freaking tool in the box, not gonna lie. saved me more times than not. Except for that ratchet, every single tool on this truck is mine. That's Keith's. Other than that, they're all mine. Yeah, I spend too much money. Well, depends on how you look at it. I spend, for my age, a lot of money. I know a lot of people spend a lot more money than I do on tools. And that's the other thing. If you're running a tool truck or something, just be a nice person. Don't be an asshole to your customers, because then they're not going to want to buy things off of you. If you're really nice to your customers, they're going to buy lots of stuff off of you. And my Snap-on guy's really nice, so I buy a lot of things. Looks like we got all our lines pulled off this thing, so time to figure out what size bolts those are, and hopefully, cross our fingers, they come loose. Okay, let's see. Woo! We like that. Not happening. Okay. I'll either use a breaker bar, or I might run the air up and grab my 3/4 gun. I love Mueller. I just picked up their wrench extenders. So I got this one and then the shorter one. And these things are epic. I love them. One day when I have extra coin, I want to get the one Cam used, the freaking Gatling gun of an air hammer. Mueller! Ho, ho, ho! That thing looks so nice because I'm a weirdo. I like doing track work. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do. Ooh! Oh, so yeah, it's kind of like an even smaller version of that. That is cool. That is neat. And brand new. You guys are so freaking nice. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, I like that. I like that.
If you have any interest in some Koken or Mueller Coops tools, please reach out, Josh D at FortisHD.com. We have full access to their complete lineup.
Okay, let's hope this extension doesn't break. So these are like the Snap-on locking extensions. I break them a lot, where I don't break these. So we'll see what happens. Let's see if I ate my Wheaties this morning or not. Well, did it slip or did the extension? Oh, we actually got lucky. It came loose. That's what we like to see. Speaking of Mueller, get their handy dandy wrench extender. Kind of fits over there.
What made you buy one then?
I like spending my money. They're a good tool. Like, you got to be He-Man if you're not going to be using stuff like that. I'm pretty frail and skinny, so I can't. So I bought it for that reason. It did work, luckily. Ooh, we're getting lucky here. Okay, just got to double check here, but I think that was the last of them. So now I just got to figure out if I have or if I have to make a lifting eye to get this sucker on out of here. But before I do that, I should probably be smart and pull all the bolts out. Come on. There it is. Okay, it looks like that was all the bolts. Now let's see what we got for lifting eyes and lifting equipment. I've got my box of goodies here. This is one of the things I got handed down to me from my great uncle there. That does work. It's just not center. The one thing I don't like. I gotta swing my truck around now. One thing that annoys me with this truck, all my tools are on the driver's side, but the crane's on the passenger side. I know, first world problems, right? It's fine. Keith's father-in-law, Steve, wired it all up for me. It's a bit different than I guess you see on most cranes. Pretty standard though, extend, boom, hoist, turn. I love this crane, it's so good. The best one until Jeremy's new truck's done. This is a 5,000. The one we're putting on Jeremy's truck, I believe, is a 10,000 pound crane. If I want it, I'll take it. I'm probably gonna stay in the Dodge just because I like it. It's in there. Why aren't you budging? I mean, it has been in there for quite some time. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of a pry, see if that does anything. I'm not gonna lie, this is also the first swing I'm pulling, like completely. So we're learning here together. Oh yeah, it's in there good. I'm not sure why it doesn't want to come out. I'm guessing it's just because it's really stuck. But I also don't want to break anything. You know what? Just for safety's sake, I'm gonna give the boss a call. See what his opinion is. Okay, sounds good. So we've gotten some information here. There's a dowel, an alignment dowel that holds the swing in place, and supposedly there's supposed to be a threaded insert or a threaded hole next to or 90 out from the dowel. Looks like we get to have a fun time today with pry bars and such, and we're gonna try and get this thing to pop. Oh, we're lucky. The swing popped loose, so we're in business again. Look at that. That's a thing of beauty. Oh, goody. Looks like I got some vacuuming to do now. Some dirt fell in the Rotex hole. There we go. So that's pulling a swing transmission with a first-year mechanic. Alrighty, let's tidy up. Just like the groceries, you don't want to take 2 trips. You want to put everything in your hands and hope you don't drop it. Oh, like that. I'm just tidying up the tools here, and then I'll move my truck out the way, grab the Bobcat, and we'll bring that swing transmission to the shop there.
Hi, I'm Keith, and today we're going to repair this swing transmission. We're going to go through it and replace it. The reason we pulled it out and needs repair is the pinion gear. So the original complaint that the machine had was there's a dead spot in the swing when you're swinging around. And as you can see, it's kind of worn out, chunked out, broken up. So we had to get a new pinion gear. Pulling it apart, replace the pinion gear, put it back together. This is on a Hitachi EX75 UR-5. So it's a little bit of an odd machine, wasn't the easiest to get parts, and of course, because it's odd, a little bit pricey. We got to start with getting the motor off of this. So we're going to need a couple of blocks to set this up on. So a swing transmission is made up of 2 units. Top piece here is a hydraulic motor. That's what actually drives the transmission, and this piece down here is your actual swing transmission. There's gears in here and everything else. So we're going to pop the motor off, and then we'll start tearing it down. When this swing transmission goes back in, it has to be all clocked a certain way. On this particular motor, you're not going to be able to mess it up because the bolt pattern is different. It can only go together one way. But some machines, it's the same bolt pattern all the way. And if you put it together the wrong way, you go bolt the swing transmission back into the machine. Now your motor's pointing the wrong way. None of the hydraulic hoses line up or fit on. In this case, I don't have to worry about it too much. See if these bolts will come out. Well, that one's going to stay. So to clock it, a lot of times you can mark it with a center punch. I'll take a zip cut and I'll actually make a line here and then 2 lines there. Now you can use a paint pen or something, but we're probably going to throw all this stuff in a solvent tank or in a parts washer. So a paint pen might wash off and then it's too late. So this is your hydraulic motor that we just pulled off. This is the transmission. You can see the color of the oil. Hasn't been changed in a while. A lot of moisture in there, a lot of water in there. In fact, I can even see water droplets. So that's what they call the ring gear. These are your planetary gears. The motor itself spins the center gear. These gears are attached to the ring gear, and in turn it walks it all the way down. Your planetary set is made up of 3 gears. You have the middle gear, it's the sun gear. Outside gears are planetary gears, going around the sun. And then the outside gear, which we pulled off, is called the ring gear. Now this particular unit has a locking pin. So this is the nut that holds the pinion shaft in and sets the tension, the preload on the taper bearings underneath it. This carrier, it's splined on the inside and it's going to spline to the pinion. Now, you don't want the carrier turning. You need it to stay still on the very last one. So they use this dowel. This dowel is going to lock in here. The splines lock onto the shaft and the dowel locks the nut from actually spinning off so that you don't lose your preload on your taper bearings. Now, this is a nut. It needs to be unthreaded off. Anything that has a nut with a preload, what I normally do is I'll make 2 marks, and I'll mark the pinion, I'm going to mark the nut, and I'm going to count how many turns they come off. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm basically going to show you how to do it in the field without the proper information, without the proper specific dealer tools. We can make a socket easy enough, and we can set it with a torque wrench, and we can do all of that stuff. So I'll start with making a center punch here. You want to stay away from the splines. You don't want to mushroom the splines over. It makes it kind of tough to get back together. And then I make another one in the middle of the nut, because if you go too close, you're going to damage the threads. So I've got my 2 marks. So we're going to knock this out now, and we're going to see if it starts to move. We might have to throw it in the vise. Nope, she moved. See, so now I'll tighten it back up. It was tight enough that it won't line up now that I try and tighten up a hand, so we know there's a little bit of preload, and you only want a little bit. So we're going to start counting it coming off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then once I get here, I'll start pulling it up every quarter turn. 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3/4, 5, 5 1/4, 5 1/2, 5 3/4, 6, starting to get loose, 6 1/4. So we're between 6 and 6 1/4. So now we can drive this pinion all the way out. Top bearing, we're going to clean that up and see if that's in good shape. And this bearing is done. So we're going to pop this apart and then see what kind of bearing is in there. The reason I popped it off is I need to get the numbers off the bearing, but I needed to keep this plate because this has to go onto the new pinion with the new bearing. So we're going to clean this bearing up, see if there's any numbers on it. What do we got here? This is an NSK bearing, so I'd be able to pick up an NSK coil bearing easily enough to replace this. Jake's going to get some bearings. So we're going to work on getting the oil seal out, and then we're going to try and get this bearing race out. There it is. We're going to try and have a look at these races and see if there's an easy way to knock these races out. They can be a real pain in the ass sometimes. That one came out nice and easy. So if you look at it, it's not the end of the world, but you can see little pitting marks and it's just starting to kind of get there. Now this one, I don't know if we're going to get so lucky at getting it out. So I have a couple heel bars here. We'll see if we get lucky. This might hurt. That isn't moving it very easily. So in this case, I think the quickest, easiest route is I'm just going to weld a chunk of metal right across so I can have something to hit from the far end and just knock it through. I'm going to grind a little bit of the end off. Don't judge me on my welding. Now, hopefully I can punch this out. Bearing race is out now, and we can get this cleaned up and punch the new races in when Jake gets back with them. Here's the new one. You can see the difference on how much wear is on it now, especially, you know, if you look on the end of it and that sort of stuff. Okay, so we got our bearings here. Now, I know how it goes together, but if you pull this thing apart and you don't know which way does this go, a lot of times you start looking for witness marks. You can see the gear marks on this, so I know this goes down. There we go. New race, it's gonna go in here. I prefer to use a brass punch or a soft face hammer. Sometimes you have to use a normal punch, but I don't like to, just because the race is hardened and you can start chipping it, denting it, that sort of thing. I'm gonna try and get it past this old seal. Punch starts bouncing back on me hard. I know we're bottomed out. So that's the race it's in, that's done. Bearing has to go onto the shaft. Hopefully it goes on as easy as it came off. So we have this ready. Now we're gonna put the new seal in here. The upper side of the lip always goes towards what you're trying to seal. In this case, we're trying to seal with oil, so I know that we need to put it in this direction. If I put it in this direction, oil's just gonna go past it, end up in the bottom anyways. So this one's a little bit on the long side, but this end of this is shaped like an oval. It's blunt. You can get a little bit more surface that you hit versus a regular punch. So these are nice to put in bearing races if you can't get a brass punch in there, knocking bearing races out, putting seals in, that sort of thing. That seal is installed. Now we'll put the upper race in. Sometimes they'll wiggle in. Yep, this one did. You can hear it bottomed out. That is in. Now we got to put these two together. We're going to kind of squeeze, basically pack the bearing. Too much grease is okay. She's sitting there all the way down. Next bearing on. So we got our center punch there. And of course, we replaced the pinion. No center punch on the new one. So it's going to be a guessing game. It's going to be really fun. But we know that we were 6 1/4. So if that was on, 6 1/4 would be about there. So we're going to go 1 1/4, 2 1/4, 3 1/4, 4 1/4, 5 1/4, and we're starting to get tight. Now, obviously the threads on this pinion, a little bit different than the original pinion. It's not very common you're replacing this pinion. Most of the time you're pulling this apart to replace the seal. That's why you have the center punch and the marks, so that when you put it together, it goes back together the same way. We have new bearings, new races, new pinion. The only original part here is the housing and the nut. So I'm just gonna tap it a bit tight because it really came loose easy, right? So that was about what it was when we took it apart. And I'm gonna try and hold on to it. It spins nice. There's enough friction on it that I can make the pinion turn. There's no play in it with the tapers. So the next fun part is lining these dowels up with these splines so that they match the carrier. We know the dowel needs to be right about there. So you can't even get the splines to line up here. This is not fun. Okay, so it dropped in. We are good. So I like to give it a brake clean, and then I'm gonna clean that surface. The reason I brake clean the oil off first is so that the Scotch-Brite doesn't slide on the oil and it cleans better. Wear safety glasses. Now, the ring gear that goes on there, same thing. It needs to be cleaned and prepped as well. So that is clean and ready to be installed. Now, if your machine has an O-ring there, you don't have to use an O-ring. You can use a gasket maker as well. There's no pressure in this. It's vented, so it never builds even pressure from the oil heating up. So we have our 2 marks here, so I know I don't have to try and play the guessing game of how do the bolts line up. I can just turn this over, drop it on, because I know there's my marks. Spline the ring gear with the planetary gears. Next, we can drop the next planetary set in. So next is to drop the hydraulic motor on. It is an art. There we go. Our lines all match up, so we know the bolt holes will all match up. Now, I do like to start with one. I get it just touching, and then I go across so that the sealant, the gasket maker, gets pressed evenly across both edges instead of all on one side at the beginning. That's all of them. This is a resealed, new bearing, new pinion, swing transmission. This looks a little cross-threaded. We'll blame it on Jake. Once you cross-thread plastic, good luck trying to get it straight again. Haha, there we go. We'll see if Jake can put it back on straight. It's a wrap. Cut!
Yeah, we're back with the 75 here. Keith just finished up rebuilding that swing tranny for us. And unfortunately, it's not quite as pretty as it was last time we were out here. So, got to deal with some rain, but when you live in Vancouver, you're used to it. Looks like the plastic bag didn't do its job so well. We'll go grab our shop vac here and just suck that right out. See what we can do. We did throw a plastic bag over it, but the elements prevail. Okay, well that's not working. So it looks like I'm gonna have to do this a slow, painful way. This is just a little drill powered transfer pump kind of thing. Good for sucking tanks down and stuff like that. That's the part number if you want. I think it's an Australian tool brand. No, this is not gonna work. It looks like I'm calling Keith. So, Keith believes there's an inspection plate on the bottom. So what we'll probably end up doing, spin the machine around and then just shove the blade all the way down into the ground to try and pivot it up on an angle, pull that plate and let her drain. Ooh. Oh no. That's the worst part about being blind. When your glasses fall off into a puddle of oil. Okay, pretty well cleaned up. Just gonna give it one more good little wipe down. Get the truck going, get the crane out, and start getting this swing ready to plop back down into its hole. Just gonna go grab some silicone and buffer pad quick and clean this up so we can get some gasket maker on there. Now on your way down, just pay attention. Make sure you're not grabbing any hoses or pinching any lines. Last thing we need is to make more work for ourselves. Looks like we are getting, oh, maybe not. Maybe I spoke too soon. I was gonna say, it looks like we're lying. Oh, maybe I didn't speak too soon. Looks like we're right in the money there. Get all our bolts ready to go. Let's make sure this thing's on the correct torque spec. All the uggas and duggas. Just got the swing bolted up into its home. Now we're just gonna try and snake all of our lines back out. I think I mentioned to you guys that we have all our caps and plugs stamped. Just makes it that much easier for reassembly. That's good and tight. Now before anybody goes and says, why the heck aren't you replacing your O-rings? I just had this motor out. I just replaced the O-rings. They're new O-rings, okay? Yep, lines are all hooked up now. Just gotta fill her up with some oil. I don't think Keith filled this up already. I'll quickly check, but I don't think he did. And it looks like he definitely did not. So. Oh, wow. Why did he put that on there so tight?
We'll see if Jake can put it back on straight.
Maybe I'm just weak. Ugh. Let's see how that goes. So I'll start with usually about 10 pumps. Check where we're at. It is gear oil, so it's pretty slow moving, so usually wait a couple seconds before I check the dipstick. Well, the last thing you want with a swing transmission is to overfill it, because they do take their time to drain. Like if I'm doing a full service with a swing transmission, the first thing I do usually is pull the drain on the swing trans, because they usually will take the entire service to drain all the way out. So we're just on the dipstick now, so I'm just gonna give it another 2 or 3 pumps just to get it where we want it. And look at that, right on the money. Perfect. So yeah, now we got our swing back installed, all hooked up. It has got oil in it. And hope I don't have to jump start this thing. Stone dead. And the big one we have in the shop is good for 24 volts. These ones are only good for 12 volt. So we just keep 2 on each truck. That way we can boost 24 volt systems with them. Let's see what happens. Probably gonna let it warm up for a minute here. Try not to be too mean to the machine. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull that plate out that I was talking about before. Let the, I guess the Rotex basin or whatever the heck you wanna call it drain out. So yeah, we'll let that sit and drain for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll give this thing a test, see if she swings. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing any leaks on any of our lines so far. It looks like we're good. Yeah, it was definitely a bit of gack in there. All right, let's see if this thing spins around. So far, so good. Perfect. Yeah, just gonna throw my last cover on there and we call her a day. write up a work order, and be on to the next job. Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you guys very much for sticking around with my hooliganism, and hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a comment down in the comment section. You know, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. The guys at Tekamo are doing a great job. We appreciate them. And yeah, hope you all have a good rest of your day.
If you need repairs or maintenance for your machine or fleet of machines, reach out to us. We have a vast network of top-tier mechanics across North America ready to help you get your machine back up and running. Reach out to us at dispatch@tekamohd.com.